Hello and welcome back to Panama for Real. Now, in our series of programs trying to demystify the process of moving to Panama, one group of people has a specific set of circumstances, particularly around the banking area. US citizens are limited to where they can own bank accounts, and that's true in Panama as well. Today, I'm joined by Warren Ferguson. Hi Warren, how are you?
I'm good, thanks for having me back.
You're welcome, nice to see you again. Warren is a financial expert. He lives here in Panama, has been here a long time, and he knows the ins and outs of the financial system here very well. And you have a lot of American clients, don't you?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, and you've helped them get to sanity as far as the living here is concerned financially. Sure. As I mentioned already, US citizens are kind of treated differently from others, particularly in the banking and investments area. I understand it's getting quite difficult for Americans to open bank accounts. How is that happening?
Well, certainly with that, Americans, certainly it's not impossible to open an account, but it's certainly the banks tend to shy away from some parts of that, dependent upon the bank that you'll go to. So the important thing for an American is to make sure that they've secured their finances at home, that they've made sure that they've got access to their money, they've figured out how they can bring their money here, whether that be through their account in the US that they've secured, to make sure that you've got access to your funds while you're here. And at the same time, with your brokerage accounts as a new non-resident, and there's going to be some restrictions in the US that the brokers are going to put on your stocks and your bonds and your mutual funds in your portfolio. And so you want to make sure that you've got, clean direction, that you're able to put those accounts in place for people. So certainly with where regulation has come in the world, and the US is a leader, with some of the FATCA regulations that have been put in place, banks are sorting through that in Panama, and of course sometimes that means that it becomes difficult to do banking here. And but so that's why you want to make sure you check all the boxes on your own finances before you arrive into the country.
I've noticed that even being from the UK, because I'm considered a gringo.
Yes.
In the first couple of years of banking here, my bank used to call me at least once a year and say, "We need you to prove you're not from the US."
Yes.
Because they would see my name and say, "Gringo,
yes.
We need him to comply." And I used to say, "But you have my passport on record."
Yes.
Oh, can you send it again?
Yes.
So there are those kind of...
Even with common reporting standards, which would fit for the Canadians in the UK and the rest of the world, that's actually starting to influence the bank's decisions as well. I've seen they're asking for tax returns from your home residence if you're here as a seasonal person. Even as permanent residents who have actually applied, received their cedula and permanent residency here, will have banks actually ask them things that they probably aren't even supposed to. So it's just making sure that you've put all of those things in place when it comes to your banking and your investment accounts. And of course, each country is different, but the US has some specific concerns that you want to make sure that you've dealt with before you got here.
Okay, cool. That's that cleared up. Now, as well as that whole banking and investments area, obviously the taxation system Panama has its own taxation system, but I guess that because of universal taxation, US citizens have to be mindful of making sure that everything's in place back home.
Yeah, Americans are taxed on citizenship, where the rest of many other countries in the world are taxed on residency. So when they come to Panama, they've got to deal with their new residents. In the US, certainly, yes, if you're earning in Panama, there's going to be some income that's taxed at the Panamanian level. But certainly Americans need to make sure that as non-residents, a lot of times they'll use a tax advisor back in their home country, and they may not be familiar with non-resident expat taxation. And certainly there's some things that they need to be concerned with as a new non-resident. One is FBAR filings with the US Treasury. There needs to be, if you have an account over $10,000, whether a bank account or an investment account, that needs to be reported to the US Treasury on an annual basis. Form 8938, which is a declaration of assets, foreign assets, if you meet the thresholds, then that has to be filed as well with the IRS on an annual basis. If you're earning income in a foreign jurisdiction, there's foreign earned income exclusions. And so that's a very, very nice tax, option for a non-resident, and you want to make sure that your accountant understands that and is taking advantage of either the foreign earned income exclusions or foreign tax credits, that you're getting a tax credit back in the U.S. for anything that you may have paid in Panama while you're here. And then the last thing that's very important, and it goes back to our first point, the first part of the conversation, is that the passive foreign investment companies can be an accounting nightmare for an American. So you want to make sure that your investment portfolios, to be honest, probably should be American-oriented investments, right? American mutual funds is a perfect example. You want to make sure you own those, because if you're going to own a foreign mutual fund, which you're going to have the option to do here, the accounting can be very costly and it can be a bit of a nightmare, and almost doesn't make it worthwhile. It doesn't mean that maybe in certain circumstances someone wants to go through that, but you certainly want to be aware of it, understand the costs, and make sure you've taken great advice from an accountant that is qualified to do non-resident U.S. taxation and be able to direct you in those ways. And to work with an investment advisor that understands that as well and is actually helping to make sure that as a non-resident, that you've set your portfolio and your investment accounts up to either be compliant with the IRS in the U.S. and to take advantage of whatever planning opportunities that may be out there.
Okay, interesting. So US citizens, if they invest in a non-US fund,
yes,
they have specific requirements that they have to, I had no idea.
Yeah, so no, it's probably gonna add $1,000 a year to your tax preparer, and you would actually find it difficult to find tax preparers who actually are qualified unless they're at the elite level to actually be able to handle the accounting part of it, right? And so does that justify the reason to be able to move into that foreign investment? For many people at certain levels that may be true, but I think in most cases it's probably not worth the headache. So you want to make sure you structure your portfolios to be centered on, to be centered on U.S. oriented investments that are compliant.
Sure. Okay. Now the last point, because this is the three things that people should consider, is health.
Sure.
Now the health. I'm from Europe, I'm from the UK, we get free healthcare back home.
Sure.
So coming here and having to pay for healthcare was a bit of a shock to the system for me. And also from Canada, you have the same kind of system. With the US, it's different. They're used to paying for healthcare.
Yes.
But of course, you should be sure before you come that everything's going to be okay for you, shouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. That it's not just reviewing your healthcare plan to make sure that it's suitable, it's going to accomplish the goals that you have from the perspective of your healthcare needs into the future, but financially you want to make sure that those coverages have actually been put in place and they're going to make sure that they cover you while you're here. And that can mean that you may need additional coverage that is suited for Panama. So you obviously will want to see an expert in that field. However, from a financial advisor's perspective, that can be also a costly part of a financial plan that people didn't consider. And so I think it's just making sure that not only have you reviewed the plan, you've also reviewed the costs, and not just the cost today, the costs 5 and 10 and 15 years into the future, because certainly as we all age, we all know that the premiums will continue to increase. So if you do need additional coverage, then that's been built into your financial plan, that you make sure that we've put the right portfolio in place, the right investment accounts, to make sure that we can provide the funding to make sure you can make those payments.
Fantastic. And we all keep getting older, don't we? There's
no way around that.
No, it's a shame. Warren, once again, you've been very helpful, very clear, and I'm sure that the audience will find that really useful information. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for tuning in again, and come back and see us soon, where you'll find more videos to help you understand the process of relocating to Panama. Goodbye now.